Welcome back to the third quick battle in my series. It's Balloon Cougar, and today I'm commanding the army of Galatia against the army of Egypt. This time it's not a live battle because I had some of my friends asking me to do a few close-ups of the blood and gore and stuff, and that's what I'm going to try and give you by showing the replay. So I've brought a pretty standard Galatian army. I've got a load of Galatian legionaries, which are good, solid, well actually extremely effective for their price infantry. I've got some Celtic tribesmen, which are cheap spear infantry just to hold the flanks. I've got 3 units of Celtic skirmishers, a Celtic slinger unit. I've got 2 units of Galatian raiders, which are interesting missile cavalry with high missile damage. You can see there 39 missile damage, but also extremely high weapon damage, charge bonus, and melee defense. So they can be used as decent, reasonable melee cav in a pinch. And now I've got 3 units of noble horse, which are, well, they're heavy cavalry. They're fairly good all-round cavalry. Nothing special though. And my general is some more noble horse. And I'm facing Egypt, which is typically a very tough faction. Any of the pike factions which have access to elephants and chariots and so on are typically extremely difficult factions for Galatia, and this proved to be a hell of a battle, so I hope you enjoy. Alright. So as we unpause, I decide I'm going to take hold of this this ledge up here, which gives me a nice kind of downhill slope towards my opponent. Move my raiders up quickly to have a poke around and see what's up there. As they move over the crest. And I immediately gain visibility on the Egyptian army. And I say immediately, there it is. And this is a pretty meta Egyptian army, I would say. It's got 3 units of Ptolemaic cavalry, which are extremely effective actually, shock cav. They're effectively companion cav. He's got a load of Egyptian pikemen, which are, the levy pike equivalent for Egypt, holding the front, with a huge number of light pelters. How many units is this? 7 units of light pelters. His general is an African war elephant. He's got a unit of Egyptian infantry, I imagine, because he had some cash lying around, and he's got a unit of scythe chariots as well. So it's a scary old Egyptian army. Now here he moves his Ptolemaic cav up. I'm not sure what they're doing, trying to catch my raiders, and I caught them with a few javelin volleys, killed 8 of them, which is actually a substantial number, considering he brings 180, killing about 10 of them. It's not a bad little opening for me. And I'm sort of using my raiders. You can see how mobile they are. They're extremely fast. Now you can see I've split up my battle line. I don't have a unified battle line to present to this to the Egyptian pikemen, and that's because facing it head on would be suicide, even against these terrible pikes. So I've split my units up into sort of duos of the legionaries, and I plan to use these guys, use their mobility to outflank this formation. Now I have a bit of a problem, and that's his Ptolemaic cav. If I'm going to deal with his chariots and his elephants, these guys have to go. And the problem is that they beat my cav. They're better than my cavalry, especially in a cav-on-cav fight. You can see they have this bonus versus large. Look at those stats, they're so damn good. Huge charge bonus. If they charge my noble horse, they're toast. They're just absolute toast. Now here, he moves his chariots up. And this was the strangest move of the battlefield, I think. I don't know what he thinks he's going to accomplish here. Maybe he can't see my general's cavalry unit. He can see it now, because I just moved my general's unit over here and intercept with my heavy cav. I'm using my Galatian raiders just to pour some javelins on here. And it's uphill as well, so you can't even get a decent amount of speed out. He does kill a few of my cavalry, but and they're not completely tied up, so they do get some nice kills before they go down. But I literally mobilize everything and just pour javelins on them. And the ones which are in combat with my noble horse die pretty quickly. Dead chariots, and they break, and the chariots are gone. And that was extremely cost inefficient by my opponent. How many of my general's units did I lose? 15 heavy cav, and I lost, well, maybe 30. Oh, actually, I lost quite a few. I still lost about 60 or 70 men, which shows how effective chariots can be if they're used properly. But, no, I considered that really stupid and a complete waste. If he had used them concerted with his Ptolemaic cav tying up my cavalry, it would have been far more effective. And this, I think that move actually opens the door to me winning this battle, because this is an extremely difficult army for me to defeat with a barbarian faction, if I'm honest. I'm outdone completely on the skirmishing front by the 7 light peltasts. Light peltasts are, of course, really good peltasts, simply for the fact that they have 12 ammunition instead of 9. Ordinary peltasts have more armor, which makes them more survivable, but against me, for example, these light peltasts are exactly what he wants, because I don't have enough skirmishers to fight him in a skirmish battle, so these guys are relatively safe to do their worst, as long as he holds his Ptolemaic cavalry at least. So now I'm trying to overload his flanks a little bit, so I'm keeping my raiders on one flank and then moving my noble horse to the other. And I have these slingers which outrange anything in his army, so I decide I'm going to see if I can provoke a reaction out of them here. So I move them forwards and tell them to attack the central Egyptian pike unit. Now, Egyptian pikes are extremely fragile, actually, extremely fragile. So using skirmishers to create holes in his line is pretty easy, but he immediately reacts by moving up his light peltas horde, and I react by mobilizing my cavalry, because his pikemen can't stop this that easily. So I mobilize my cavalry immediately. Here we go, noble horse bearing down these peltas. They throw a few javelins, kill one, and get smacked in the back by a noble horse brutally. His pikemen advance to counter, but I just pull out and I've killed half of that unit and lost 4 men. It was a pretty cost-effective move there. He's moved his infantry unit out here. I'm not sure what they're doing. So now he mobilizes his Ptolemaic cav. Now this is the real, well, there are a few difficulties with this battle. His elephants, his light pelters, I mean, his whole army is very effective in the current meta. But I'm not sure what his Ptolemaic cav are doing here. Ah, they're trying to get in touch with my raiders. Now normally, I mean, my raiders really should have run away here, but instead they decided to get charged by Ptolemaic cavalry. So I mobilize my terrible spearmen to get involved here. You do actually catch these cavalry, I believe. Ah, no, they don't. And then they get countercharged. Yes, here we go. Ptolemaic cavalry on the charge. Pretty devastating, even to a spear unit, especially when the spear unit's looking the other way. My surviving Galatian raider unit is putting some fire down. Not too effective though. And my noble horse has finally arrived from the other flank. My singers are still holding up the middle. So now we develop into an engagement kind of on the hill. And this is frighteningly close to his light peltas. And yeah, it's fairly fairly clear what he needs to do here, because he can just mobilize his light pelters and reform his pike wall, and I'll have to retreat, really, from this gigantic melee, which is a melee I want to fight in. This is a good fight for me, simply for the fact that his Ptolemaic cavalry are now in an engaged melee, and I'm committing spearmen, even if they are terrible spearmen. And these light pelters volleys are actually hurting him quite a lot as well. So now his pike wall moves up, but I decide this is the time. We've got to get involved here. So I move up my skirmishers. I tell 2 units to target the center of his line to make a hole, and I tell 1 unit to target his elephants with fire javelins. But I think, yeah, they throw the first few volleys at this pikeman unit, which is not what I wanted. But you can see how quickly this Egyptian pikeman unit is melting, simply from 2 cheap javelin units. Yeah, gone. Like 3 or 4 volleys. That's how easy it is to poke a hole in one of these lines. I just tell them to target the next unit. And I'm not too concerned if he's focusing on my skirmishers with his ones. And here I've flanked around with one of my units of legionaries. I was going to commit a unit to this fight, but as the elephants got involved and ran amok, I decided to abandon them, and that's because my other skirmisher unit with fire javelins has sent them amok, and they happily run down one of my legionary units. Poor guys. So here, these guys have made it all the way around the side, my heavy infantry, and now they're going to come crushing in here and start dealing with these light pelters, who will die extremely quickly against legionaries, Galatian legionaries. This Ptolemaic cavalry unit's still alive. I'm trying to close him down with a few more of my legionary units, get rid of him. I think one other one is still alive, but it's way over here chasing some noble horse, which helps a lot. I think he forgets about that one. You can see the pike wall has fallen apart completely, so my legionaries pretty much have free reign. And if I had some more decent cavalry, I would, this battle would be over, to be honest. But it's going to take a bit longer, because I have to massacre all these pelters with my Galatian legionaries. But massacred they are becoming, as you can see. And he's trying to do something with his Egyptian pikemen, but it's all too little too late at this point. These pelters are being massacred by my gleeful Galatian legionaries, and without pelters to back up his pikemen, they are easy meat for my legionaries. Now here, I've got these Galatian raiders, well, I had them making these elephants endlessly berserk, but I think I've run out of ammo, so I charged them after this light peltist unit instead, and these elephants are now on their way into battle. I mobilize this skirmisher unit, which still has some fire armor, to try and put them berserk again while I finish off the rest of his army. And the light peltist massacre continues, just bodies everywhere. The Egyptian pikemen desperately trying to get in here, but I can just recharge them with legionaries, and look at these guys getting massacred from behind. Oh, it's brutal. They have no chance against the legionaries without pike formation. But now they do form up, and I think I let this unit die. So we've turned the elephants amok again, but I charge units in there by accident, and they get crushed. And over here, my Galatian raiders are dealing with this peltist unit. I'm finishing off these pikemen with concerted charges by loads of my legionaries. Extremely bloody. Oh, extremely bloody. You can hear the glorious sound effects of Egyptian pikemen being massacred. And the elephants are still amok, and actually dying slowly from all of these fire javelins, which is exactly what I want. And here's the last Egyptian pikeman unit. But now I have a bit of a problem. he's got a Ptolemaic cavalry unit which is exhausted, which is walking back small, and he's got a few elephants, and I have no missiles left. I have nothing, so I've got to kill him with my infantry, which I think is possible. And here I'm just finishing off the pikemen. Another massacre. Yeah, brutal. I hope you guys have enjoyed all this combat. I certainly did. It's a lot of just massacring. And here, his elephants actually break. And yeah. And that's it. That's the end of the battle. But it's victory for me. An extremely bloody, Pyrrhic, awesome victory against a meta build. I think my opponent could have won that if he had kept his chariots in reserve, and I wouldn't have been able to commit to that cavalry fight. But maybe I wouldn't have committed to that cavalry fight anyway if he had kept his chariots around. His chariots could have done a huge amount of work on my army though. I didn't have much to stop them other than my noble horse. But good game to my opponent, and yeah, I'm quite pleased to win with Galatia in this battle. Thank you very much, guys. Goodbye.